All right, so let's get right into it, talking about the price of games. Next-gen games are costing $60 a pop. Michael, is that the right price people should be charging for these games?
I actually think the price is too low. I think consumers are getting a gift from the publishers and from retail at 60 bucks. These games cost a ton to make. They're much richer in content than anything we've ever seen. And on an inflation-adjusted basis, they're cheaper than games were 15 years ago. Right. So I think that consumers want more and more and more in all entertainment. I mean, they want bigger explosions in their movies, and they want more star power in their movies. Well, we have no problem watching movie tickets go from 20 years ago, $3 or $4 up to 10 or 12 bucks now. Right. But suddenly, retailers and the publishers have kind of gotten together and kept at that $50 price point until this generation. They go to 60 and consumers complain. I want more content for less money. Not going to happen. I mean, right. You're seeing salaries go up, you're seeing license fees go up, you're seeing a lot more content in the games. The graphics are incredible. And I think, ultimately consumers are going to accept the price point. If they don't, I think consumers are going to get far fewer choices. You're going to get short games that don't look that good, that aren't that frame breaking. So, if you want the next Halo 3, I think you should be willing to pay 70 bucks for the collector's edition and be glad you got it, because there's going to be a lot in that game.
And now we've got, with single player and multiplayer, I mean, people are, spending huge amounts of time on these games. And is there, you see a lot of these games, a single player game would be $60, and then, it has multiplayer as well, and they're only charging $60. And do you think, going forward, given sort of how much time it takes to build these games and how epic they have to be, are we going to start seeing, a single player game will be a certain amount of money, but then you have to, pay a subscription fee for the multiplayer? I mean, what do you think is going to happen to the cost of games over this generation?
I think that this is largely has to do with consumer expectations.
Right.
Right now, the expectation is if you are, say, a first-person shooter and you're on a console, that you are going to offer a multiplayer experience along with that single-player experience. And you're going to have a phenomenally good reason to somehow separate the two and segregate them and start to charge separately from them. And I think you're finding a lot of resistance from the public, because they've already been trained that this is how they will interact with the game, and this is the value they'll get for paying up for it. So I don't think you'll see it so much on the basis of segregating out multiplayer from single player. You may see it more on the basis of either something more episodic, or you may see it more on the basis of weaving in sponsorship revenues, if it makes sense, or advertising revenues, perhaps microtransactions. And there's a variety of other ways you can do revenue enhancements if you're going to do it. I'm sort of hesitant, though, about separating those two, single player and multiplayer.
Sort of maturation of the industry too, and the idea that people can sort of speak their mind, and it's like you are creative people that have opinions, and it's like, because I think a lot of people feel they're media trained, they're here to talk about their product, that's what they do, and it's it's every game company out there.
I went to when I first started doing media, that Sony sent me to media training, and it was exactly that. It was exactly, here's how you stay on message, and the whole time I was like, I'm so fucking bored. It's just like, it's not that I don't want to stay on message. Certainly I'm here to talk about calling all cars. I want people to be excited about that. But I also just like talking games. I like going on the forums and talking games. I like talking to you about games. And so I think, maybe it is the industry's maturing, and people are starting to realize that people respond to that. People want people who are honest with them.
Do you ever worry, though, that your personality kind of overshadows the work, or sort of backfires? People are like, oh, Jaffe's always, talking out of his ass about this or that, and it's like, always stating his opinions.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I would, let's put it this way, if I felt that me coming on shows like this and me blogging and stuff actually hurt the product, I wouldn't do it. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I want the stuff that I work with teams of anywhere from 12 people to 100 people, and we're all working really hard, and we want to entertain people. And so far, this has been a positive thing, in that the games that we work on, more people become aware of them, they're more interested in them. There are certainly people who don't like me and my personality.
You got Jaffe haters out there?
Yeah, of course, sure. And
what do they say when they hate?
They say I'm arrogant, which is, we've talked to each other now on about 4 or 5, 6 occasions. I don't think I'm arrogant. I don't understand that.
It's interesting you say that you're going to scale things back. I think people for E4All, they probably think even a bigger spectacle because it's open for consumers. But that year that it was open to consumers in Atlanta, that didn't work for people? It didn't work, and people were literally taking apart booths and stealing signs off the Mattel booth, and it was utter chaos. You just can't have enough security at a video game show, and these kiosks aren't built that way, and the stations aren't built that way, and there's a number of precautions we've taken for the summit, which are at the Barker hangars, to make sure that if consumers are there, they're not going to.
But the landscape has changed a lot since Atlanta, right? And what we're seeing is that a lot of shows do have a consumer component. So if you look at Tokyo Game Show, if you look at Leipzig, there's very much a consumer component to them. So I think there's definitely room for an E4, or like an E4All, you know, later in the year, especially given the timing for that one, which is closer to holiday, looking at October. So, you know, you can showcase titles that are really shipping that quarter and really focus on short lead press. So having that now moved is actually a better timing for our studios. Mary, you think the idea of sort of these two shows makes sense? You know, the one show for business, the one for consumers?
I think it does. We had looked at putting the E3 Summit in the first 3 days of a week and then putting E4All over the weekend and toward the tail end, but it just doesn't seem to work for people. So we'll survey everyone after E4All and after the Summit and see what works best for everyone. But I would anticipate that the August timeframe would work really well for E4All. And again, it's a calendar issue. This year we couldn't put E4All in the earlier time frame because we didn't want it too close to the summit.
Right.
So
yeah, September would probably be a good time frame for the E4.
All right, well, we'll have to see what happens in 2008. But this year, you can, of course, look for full coverage of E3 and E4All right here on Game Trailers. If you want to go to E4All, you can check out the website at e4allexpo.com, and Game Trailers members can buy advance tickets right now. That's it for this bonus round, but we'll see you next time.
BonusRound.